Josh Malerman is an American author of novels and short stories. Before publishing his debut novel, Bird Box, he wrote 14 novels, never having shopped one of them. Being the singer-songwriter of the Detroit rock band The High Strung, Malerman toured the country for 6 years as the band played an average of 250 shows a year, and Malerman wrote many of the rough drafts for these novels in the passenger seat between cities on tour. He says this about those days: "I never saw the books with dollar signs in my eyes. It was a hobby. That's for sure. It was the real thing and always has been. But I was happy then simply just writing. And while I blindly assumed they'd be published one day, I had no idea how something like that occurred." As a pile of rough drafts grew, he did the question, As the pile of rough drafts grew, so did the questions as to what he was planning on doing with them. Well, he no longer has to question that because Josh has had some very successful works, including the book that we are starting today. Robert, what's it about?
This one is about a haunting told from the perspective of a young girl whose troubled family is targeted by an entity known as Other Mommy. That's it. That's the gist of it. And leading to that, this book starts right off the bat with a nope. Like the kind of chapter that makes you go, yeah, all right, I can't read this unless it's dark outside. Like lights off. I want to be laying in bed. I need spooky vibes up when I'm reading this book.
This book has the like you said, the first chapter is an absolute nope. And what is it, like 20 words or something crazy like that? I'm listening to the Audible version of this. And it was like the chapter was like 1 minute, and the entering the heart part was just a can I enter your heart? I was like,
no, you cannot.
No, please, never again. Leave us alone. But yeah, dude, big nope. Dylan, share with us. Did you read this book with us this week, bro?
I am Other Daddy.
That answers nothing, by the way.
That answers everything you need to know. Yes, I did. I did read the book this week, and I knocked it out in like, I don't know, like the first 19 chapters. Like it was like 2 hours of the book, whatever. Knocked it out in one sitting. Sort of. I was at work and I was just listening, I guess. And like you said, that opening chapter really sets the tone for the book, I think. Yeah. It's literally, I don't even think it's a minute. I think it's literally like 30 seconds. And it's just, it instantly, like, especially reading the audio or listening to the audio version of it, the Audible version, like, first of all, the voice actress doing a little too well playing a child. Kind of weird, to be honest. But she's doing a phenomenal job so far. And then coming in and Bella's like Bella, the main character, she's like, there's Dado and Mommy and I'm like,
so she like whispers like in the Audible version, like she changes her tone when she's talking about other people.
Yeah, the first chapter just really sets the tone for the whole book and gets you really engaged. And I think the perspective through it's definitely unique. Like like not even just with the voice acting, obviously in the Audible version, but also with the way the writer is kind of telling the story. You can tell that it is through a child because there's certain things that she'll say throughout the book, and she'll say something and then she'll be like, well, that's what Daddy says, or that's what Mommy says. Like whenever she's like, Mommy's schedule is all over the place, and that's what Mommy always says. And like, so I feel like those little additives like in there just really puts you in the mindset of a child, and it really makes the creep factor a little bit even more intense, I think.
100%.
I agree. I'm just going to throw it up on the screen for the video viewers. This is chapter 1, and this is, I'm not listening to the Audible. I'm reading the Kindle version. And this is how it's formatted. Chapter 1's literally like a paragraph, and it's good night, Dado, good night, Mommy. And then it's just broken up with 3 sentences. And then, hi, say, I'm so excited to see you again. And that's it. And the way it's written, this is how the entire book's written, is in this format. And it's told from the perspective of a child, which is unique. And then it's even written to kind of open up your imagination a little bit. And I love the way the author did it personally.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, I think that Dylan, you made some good points with the talking about how it's from the perspective of a child, and you get that like so well. It's so well done, and in that just the way, because sometimes I'm a little bit, I don't think we've read a book that's done it quite like this before from like such a young perspective, and it's really her the whole time outside of when parents are talking to her, or she does like what you were saying where, well, that's what Dada says or that's what mom says or whatever. But it honestly, because kids are creepy, as Robert's little name tag says down there, and it's very, very true. Obviously, I got scared by one of my own children just a few minutes ago. But it makes this book have an even eerier feel the entire way because she trusts this thing.
Yeah,
and I don't even know what it is right now. Ghost, demon, I don't have any clue. The narrator, just so we kind of give her a shout out, is Delaney Nicole Gill, and kills it.
To speak on the perspective, we have read one book, at least I know of, that we covered on this show, and it was The Queen's Poisoner.
That's right.
Jeffrey Wheeler. It was like an 8-year-old perspective, but even still, the writing style in this is vastly different than what that was. So I've definitely never read anything written the way that this novel's written. I'm glad to hear it transfers over to the Audible version for people who want to listen. But dude, let me just tell you right now, if I ever go in my kid's room, I'm like, hey, good night. My kid says good night, other daddy, throwing the whole kid away. It's starting over. Absolutely not. Early book did a good job of setting the stage, man.
Dad seems like a champ.
Oh yeah. Dad's cute.
Dad's a good dude. Seems like he's just, always there to make everybody, feel a little better. Mom's trifling right now.
Yeah, mom a little cray, dude. Dad kind of reminds me of me. One of my favorite early parts is he goes in Bella's bathroom. He's like, the toilet. What'd you do in here? He ain't aware it's a ghost. My man just thought someone's dropping bombs. I do that all the time. Walk in the bathroom like, I'm yelling at my kids right off the rip. You don't know how to spray? Courtesy flush? That's me too. I'm just like this dad.
One thing that I don't understand, and maybe it's because I'm not a parent, and maybe you guys might have a different perspective, but who sits in their child's room and confesses their deepest, darkest secrets while their children is literally like asleep?
That's a good, I think that's a good observation. I would say that I don't do it the way but there have been times like where I'll sit in the room with like one of my children and talk to them while they were sleeping, especially when they were like younger.
Yeah.
You're
maybe
really
not sleep deprived as a parent, Dylan.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say I would necessarily go in and go, here are all the worst things that I've ever done. But I know that I've sat in my kids' rooms before while they were sleeping and like chatted with them like in a more casual way, and a lot of times it's like, hey, more of like a telling them how much I love them or, speaking some like kind things to them, but never like, hey guys, let me tell you about the time I stole this thing when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
Or anything crazy. It's just like it's a very weird dynamic, but I guess you have to, right? To like, because you are writing from the child's perspective to understand more about the parents. I guess you had to do it this way, but there's dysfunction all around. So she seems like, I think what I'm gathering at least is that she's the anchor of the family, kind of keeping them all together.
Yeah.
Because mom's, doing her thing running around. And then dad is, I feel like dad has to at least have some sort of idea that she's doing these things, right? There's no way he's that oblivious.
No, there's been several instances where so it's heavily implied through these first 19 chapters and pretty much confirmed towards the end of it that the mother's having an affair.
Sure.
And she's not happy in her marriage. And I think the author does a really good job as we go from chapter 1 through 19 of kids pick up more than you would think they do. Like,
sure.
You see a lot more that's going on. Like there's a scene where they go to the zoo. And in the zoo, they're like, "Oh, Bella, go on ahead." And Bella's like in her monologue, like, "Oh, they're fighting again." Like kids pick up on these little things, like they're,
100%.
So the author does a good job of translating that. But yeah, essentially that's what's going on. The mom's having like some type of affair. Bella knows something's off. I have to feel like the dad knows because there's several times where like she leans in to give him a kiss. He's like, nah. Or she tries to give him a hug and he's like, spin move. Like, he knows something's going on.
He knows something's wrong.
I feel like I may have a theory. Early on theory, I could be wrong, could be way off.
I like this. Let's go.
I think, and this might be a little spoilery. Is that okay?
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, we're going into
discussion. Yeah.
I think that the parts where the parents are in there sitting on the bed, I don't know. I feel like this is somehow, because I know there's been obviously some instances where the parents have been in there and they've seen other mommy, but I think it is somehow other mommy manipulating Bella into thinking the parents are in there, telling her these things.
Oh,
because I don't think I feel like because Bella, it's something that early on is really important that Bella says. She's like, I want mommy and daddy to be happy all the time. So I think other mommy is making it seem like to Bella like there's a lot more problems that are going on than there actually are. Like they may be having issues, but I think it's she's amplifying it because there's that one part where she comes in and her mommy is telling her everything, but it turns out it's actually the other mommy that was telling her all this stuff. So I feel like she's been manipulating this whole time because she feels like if she thinks there's something wrong with mommy and daddy, she'll let her come into her heart so they can swap places because she's going to trust other mommy to fix mommy and daddy's issues. Early on theory, I could be way off. We'll see.
I think it's a good observation to make.
Yeah, because I remember when that happened. That's an eerie moment.
That is an eerie, bro. There's been a lot of eerie moments. Like there's one where she runs up the stairs and other mommy's sitting on her bed, but her back's facing the door. So she walks in and just sees her back and her hair and the way she describes it. I'm like, Bella, why would you go in this bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
She doesn't know, bro.
Did we miss it, or did I miss it somewhere? And do they say how long other mommy's been around, or has other mommy been around?
Since she was like 2.
Young. Yeah, I don't know if they've said the exact age, but her parents like flat out ask her like, how long has this been going on?
That's right. And she says it. Yeah. Because honestly, I don't know. I mean, scary is scary, and whether you're around it all the time or not, but maybe since she's been around other mommies since she was 2, maybe she's a little more.
Well, I could be wrong on that, actually. I may be thinking of Hidden Picture.
Well, other mommy keeps talking about reincarnation and like, hey, and she says like, hey, if you let me into your heart, we'll swap spots and you'll go to where I'm from. And to me, it just sounds like other mommy, whatever type of entity or demon she is, she's just trying to, I guess she has to be invited in. I don't know the rules.
Yeah, it's a vampire. It's like a vampire vibe right there. Like, yeah, you have to invite me in before I come and destroy your life.
They're just like, yo, you're mine now. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
interesting.
Yeah, but that other mommy, the playground scene, dude, I don't want to shy away from. Bella's at the playground with her friend, and they start like, hey, let's tell scary stories. And Bella kind of confides in her friend, like tells her about other mommy, and her friend's like, dude, nah, and takes off running because Bella scared her. Bro, it creeped me out when Bella went up in that little playground jungle gym thing and saw her friend Deb sitting there like crying. But then she like transformed or whatever into other mommy. And Bella fell down the slide and hit her head. Like that was some information. They're like, oh, other mommy can like impersonate people. That takes this creepiness to another level.
It's almost like a mimic or something.
Yeah.
Well, even she was like, what would you do if other mommy, would you kill other mommy for me or whatever it was or whatever she was saying, dude? It was a very creepy kid moment, dude. And there's been quite a few of those.
Yeah. So do you think anybody's going to get unalived by other mommy in this one? Like maybe Kelvin, the babysitter. I feel like the babysitters always die. Man's red shirt. Like,
I Our man Kelvin's just doing his best, bro. He's just trying, fun teenage guy who just wants to stare at his phone and get paid to, make sure that the kid doesn't do anything too crazy.
Or what about Lois Anthony, the medium? She gonna get it? Feel like the mediums in these always try to help the family, and other mommy helps her.
Yeah. I don't know. So far we haven't seen anything that indicates that other mommy can physically do anything outside of just like be a super scary presence and ask if she can walk into somebody's heart, which is
it feels
such
like
a creepy thing to say.
It feels like she can make herself known to other people if she wants to. Like they had that party and she was in the corner and creeped out a neighbor, and then they went and stayed at their neighbor's house, and then the neighbor's dad was like, "Oh, Ursula, I thought I just saw you upstairs." So it seems like other mommy can kind of come and go as she pleases and mess with people.
Mom got mad about those friends of theirs because she was like,
"Mom's tripping."
Yeah, because I'm like sitting here thinking, it's like they got a new baby. You guys are saying that there's potentially somebody breaking into your house and chasing you guys around. Yeah, I don't know. We all want to think like, hey, we would do our best, and maybe we would, but I just don't know. That was like, mom was wild out there, bro.
Mom was wild out there, dude. But again, after that scene, is that kind of where we get to the end? Like they decide they're gonna go stay at grandma's house. So I feel like that's
there's
just
like the two deers and all the laughing and all that kind of stuff. Do you guys think that was other mommy when she was speaking on behalf of mom, like when she was pretending to be mom, and she's like, and I was in college and I slept with every man that I ever saw, and she goes, well, maybe not, but pretty much, like doing all that. I wonder if that was like, because some of the things she said were things that we kind of were implied throughout the course of the book, right? So far as that, other mommy's having an affair. Part of, she's even, as she's sat there and talked to Bella some, it seems as if she's expressing some guilt in the fact that she's living a double life. Do you think other mommy is like digging deep into her emotions and being real? Or do you think that this is, again, maybe she's just manipulating Bella by elevating that more? Because really, mommy's a little crazy. People can be angry and mad, but it doesn't make them like, because the way that other mommy was having her talk was like, I don't even want to be here, and I don't want to be a mom, and you're pretty much robbing me of my life and the things I want to do and all that type of stuff. And I was just kind of thinking like, man, is she able to basically, speak for how a person really feels, or is she, is this just a game?
I think it lends some credibility to Dylan's prediction. That whole scene is like other mommies just kind of manipulating Bella into thinking her parents are unhappy. I do think there's some underlying problem going on. Sure. If it was as bad as other mommy impersonating mommy was making it out to be, that remains to be seen. But right now, I want to say it's just other mommy kind of manipulating things to try and get Bella to like, hey, let me in your heart. But that was a good scene. That was because that was like the real mom walks in and sees her, and then it's like that's kind of when the haunting craziness can begin now, because now the parents have to believe the little girl because one of them has seen other mommy.
Here's my prediction for the ending of this book.
Sure.
I think that we are going to be left on a cliffhanger. You remember Willie the Weirdo?
Yeah.
How, walks out and there's mannerisms that are different, but yet you're like, okay, well, grandpa just took this kid and became the kid, right? A part of me wonders if we're going to be left on some sort of cliffhanger like that. Like there's going to be a moment where it's like, it could be that Bella allowed her in the heart, or she's gone forever. And we'll be left with this cliffhanger of, well, is Bella still Bella? And it's going to be left to our interpretation.
I like that. I'll say there will be a cliffhanger, either that or it's going to be the family thinks other mommy's gone, and the book ends with like the closet door creaking open.
Yep. I can see that too.
Something to that effect. What about you, Dylan?
I don't know. I guess I didn't really think that far.
It's okay, dude. Sometimes you can enjoy the ride.
Yeah, dude.
I had that one theory, and I felt like I cracked the code. I didn't really think much past that.
You live across the street from these people. You're Amanda and Dan. And that family shows up knocking on your door in the middle of the night, like, someone's in my house. And the cops come, there's no one there. And they're like, can we please stay? You letting them stay? You letting these people crash at your crib? Paranormal entities? What's up?
I'd like to think that if it's, they implied that these were like bros and like good friends. I would like to think if it was like one of you dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's like any of my rando neighbors right now that are living by me, like if you listen to the show, I'm sorry, but I don't know you like that. Okay. Like if you come over here saying there's a ghost in your house and can you please stay? I'm going to say, I'm sorry, but if it's one of you guys, sure. Dude, I'd like to think that I'd let you guys stay and not kick you out, even if things got weird.
Yeah. So you're a chump like Dan. Dylan?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, when you first asked the question, I was going to say they're out of there. But now that Justin mentions it, if it was one of you guys, I'd like to think that I would do my best to
power through
with you.
VJ's like, you guys are all on the streets, man.
Wow. You both are like Dan. You're both soft.
I like that Robert's over here acting like he's somebody.
You're both. I love you guys, but you come in here talk about ghosts and demons. The door's getting shut, player.
Yeah, right.
Well, let me rephrase that. Justin, you can come over. Robert,
all right, thanks, dude. Robert's just in a ditch somewhere, man. Forget Robert, bro.
I will say, dude, we're closing here. We're getting at the end of this discussion. When they were at Dan and Amanda's house and Bella was like waking up in the middle of the night and she was like pulling the blanket down because she thought she heard the sound someone makes before they take a breath. That creeped me out. And then her mom's just staring at her, like her real mom, not other mommy. Like her mom's just looking at her. And like little things like that raise tension in a good way for me because it's like, I like that in a spooky book. Visually, it took me to like the Netflix show Haunting of Hill House. Like you keep waiting for something to happen, and a lot of times it doesn't, and that helps build the suspense. So when something does happen, it's like, oh, okay, you got me. This book does that well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope it ends well like that, because sometimes it does that. And then you get to the big moment and you're like, what is this?
If a book or a TV show like Hill House can creep me out and I'm like entertained throughout, I can almost forgive a bad ending. Which
sometimes
this book has creeped me out. It would take a pretty bad ending for me to be like, okay, at this point.
Yeah, I get that. Hill House, I feel like had that though for me a little bit because that movie there were moments in that show where like I, yell out loud because I get startled easily. Just in case anybody didn't know that, but but then you get to the end of it and it was so wonky. Like, what's going on? But so far, man, this is I'm very, very pumped about this one. I'm glad we're reading this.
I'm glad Dylan's reading, dude. I can't tell you listeners how excited I was to get a text message today that Dylan has not only read this book, but he also finished Hidden Pictures.
Yeah, literally. I read, and I think, did I start Hidden Pictures yesterday?
Look at him. Our sweet baby Dylan's growing up right before our very eyes.
I don't remember if I may have done it all today.
Well, the cool thing is,
I think I started it yesterday, but
is that you guys can probably look forward to us doing a spoiler episode of Hidden Pictures just to have as a additional content post because since Dylan read it, I would revisit Nerdy Reads revisit. We've talked about doing things like that before. Yeah. So, and that if we were going to revisit a book, that's one that I would definitely go back and.
Oh, bro, that was not expecting that ending.
I know you weren't.
We saw your expectations. You sent them to us.
Yeah. You know what, guys? We talked about that last week as if you're going to read a book this year or this holiday, this Halloween spooky season, Hidden Pictures, can't go wrong with it if you haven't done it before. We're going to close this one out. We got our last 3 words. Dylan, what you got for us?
I'm other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm. I don't like the way you said it. Robert, what you got?
Dylan's other daddy.
Okay, other daddy. We'll just go with that. All right, guys. Hey, that wraps it up for chapters 1 through 19 of Incidents Around the House. Hope you guys are reading this with us.